Hey everyone, Depressed Dior here with some more Langrisser Mobile Apex. This one's going to be short and sweet, but I'll probably go over a few other things after the match. I guess the first thing to talk about, of course, is I changed the box again. I know it seems like I do this weekly now. So the main thing was, my recent changes have gradually gotten me away from the Origin faction, which, as mentioned back when I did my big change weeks ago or whatever. I mentioned, since I'm going to be stuck with Freya, I might as well, take advantage of the faction buff I have for her. So what I did was I went ahead and dropped Claret for Illustrial. I think the other character I dropped was Rachel, and I dropped her for young Jessica. I know I've said many times that I'm not very good with young Jessica, but I would like to get better with her, so that's what I'm going to do. It also gives me a little extra off healing if I need it instead of relying on Rachel's stuff. I know I'm giving up a Gospel buff for this, but at the same time, I'm in a situation, since my DPS is where most of my faction buffers are, filling in slots with Gospel buffs actually kind of limits me even further. And what I think I'm going to start doing, depending on how the band picks go, is I'll probably definitely try to grab D-Lit more often. Since I can faction buff her with Freya, I can guarantee that I always have a Gospel available. And as for Illustrial, I've never really used her, but she kind of has some unique assassination capabilities if you have her unique helmet, which I do. Essentially, she could bypass guard and self-heal if she attacks from grass tiles, or grasslands, forest, and mountains. As far as I can tell, every Apex map has at least grasslands. Even the floating platform map in the center, there's grasslands. So it's pretty much guaranteed that I'll at least have some capability of bypassing guard with her, so she can essentially become another assassin. She's only 5 stars right now. I'm working on getting her to 6 stars. I'll be about a month before I can get her 6 star. Same thing for Charlinka. She's still 5 stars. Besides that, that's the only changes I've made. As for our opponents, pretty straightforward. Looks like a kind of very standard box here. 3 tanks, it looks like. 3 tanks, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks like it's a 3 tank, 3 healer setup, though technically you can use young Jessica for healing as well. I went ahead and banned Juggler because Juggler is Juggler. The only other thing that really stood out was the Ares. So my plan, of course, was to ban Juggler and then ban Ares. So I went ahead and banned Juggler first, as usual, and they banned my Zerida, as usual. I actually got a little stuck here for a bit because I didn't realize this person first picked an Ares. And I was kind of torn between either taking out a bunch of their healers and risking Shinryu here picking a tank, or just wiping out the tanks completely and just hoping for the best that I can deal with Ares. Because I think this person's plan was literally just to send Ares up, do AoE, do the extra passive AoE, and just kill everything. That's what most people do with Ares, which is why he's super, super annoying. An upcoming character will limit Ares some, as well as a lot of high mobility characters, which is partially why I'm okay with getting rid of Claret. That and Claret's just, her overall capability is going to continue to fall off as the seasons progress. She'll eventually get her 3-cost skill, but her 3-cost skill isn't that good. It doesn't really fit her kit well. So I'm okay with dropping Claret now and kind of trying out some new characters. Anyway, so yeah, they picked Ares, and I went ahead and just went straight for their tanks. So it's going to be a slugfest here. I went ahead and took Freya. I mainly just did it for the faction buff because you can't really tank against Ares. They of course went after my other faction buffs. They went straight for Liana. So the setup here is pretty obvious on this map. Ares is going to move up, get in position. Liana's going to move up, act again on Ares, and Ares is just going to go ham on my group. That's pretty much the setup here. So with all that said and done, I went ahead and banned some characters that are a little bit dangerous, like Yulia, and I went ahead and got rid of Luna just so that they don't get any extra mobility or magic defense. Went ahead and grabbed D-Lit. This is mainly just to ensure I have a Gospel buff. They went ahead and went after my high mobility characters at this point, so at this point I'm kind of in a slow moving group with the exception of Varna. They did take Elwyn. Elwyn's not a big deal since everyone usually goes spears with Elwyn now, so I can literally just, I mean, deal it his sword, so I can easily just shred him. I went ahead and I think I banned, I went ahead and banned their tiaras because they didn't want to deal with attack blessing, and I went ahead and got rid of Sherry because Sherry nowadays is usually built in a way for as an assassin, so I didn't want to deal with guide bypasses. Went ahead and grabbed Shalinka. She's another sword type, so she can easily counter Elwyn. Also, she's pretty durable, so I'm hoping she can tank a hit from Ares. Also, she's an assassin, so even though I don't really need an assassin at this point, but she's high mobility with the teleport and all that. I don't know what they banned. They banned my young Jessica, it looks like, so I don't. So the two characters I added in, they got banned, unfortunately, but that's fine for me. They grabbed their young Jessica, so I was a little bit concerned about ranged nukes and all that. But like I said, the big thing here is going to be the Ares. Like, if I could survive the Ares, I can survive everything else here pretty easily. And then, of course, I went ahead and took Sophia. Just my choices were Sophia or I go Chloe. More than likely, if I was going to do any healing, it's going to be immediate, so I might as well take Sophia for that. Also, Sophia can buff up defense if I really need it. Also, she has rewind, so I can reset some cooldowns, which I do have some pretty long cooldown abilities on these characters, so that was my intent there. Yeah, they banned my other tank and my last faction buffer. They went ahead and went with Almeda. Don't really know what the point of that was besides just extra healing. My guess was probably the plan was get Ares in position, act again with Liana, and then use Almeda as like a follow-up just in case I tried to take out Ares with anything I have left. Because Almeda can passively heal the lowest hit point character every turn, no matter the range. So, and I went and took Varna because she has some ranged AoEs and dispels, and she also, her AoE can actually do extra damage against flying. So that was the intention. Anyway, so here's the setup. Ares is Ares. He never takes his faction buff. He just takes this setup here. Literally what he would do is he gets in position, does Fearless Hurricane, and then when he gets Fearless Hurricane, it automatically gives him additional movement. Yeah, he can move again after use. And it essentially takes his remaining mobility and adds 4. But you can only go in a straight line. So that's why if you ever see any matches with Ares, he'll just get set up somewhere, and then usually at the next turn he'll just move a little bit, then activate the effect, and then just go straight across the map and just start AoEing you to the ground. And then his fancy, where is it? The Noble Charge, I think it is. Yeah, so the Noble Charge also will grab everybody and teleport everyone around him. So his follow-up AoE will just hit everybody as well. Everything else here, I didn't even look at everyone else's kit. I pretty much can assume, I was like, Elwyn's going to be Elwyn. Almeda is always Almeda in most cases. Didn't take her her unique spell. I don't remember what it was called. It's like an AoE that does a bunch of debuffs, and I think it dispels a little bit as well. Young Jessica looks like she's going hybrid. Actually, this young Jessica didn't even take her transformation, which kind of puts into question of why you even took her in the first place, because you might as well just take a different caster at that point. I mean, I guess you could take her if you wanted just a hybrid healing and nuking and stuff like that, but she's now just a slow nuker with no range. So really, it looks like the setup here is literally just going to rely on Ares, get into position, Liana, act again, go ham, and see what's left. Nothing too special here. Varna is the standard setup. Aim, 1,000 arrows, Wind Whisperer. I could have taken attack buff or whatever, but I didn't really need it. I didn't feel I needed it. For the most part, I was just going to do poke damage, 1,000 arrows, and dispel. Everything else is pretty standard. Standard Shalinka. Deal it. I took Gospel. I didn't really necessarily need it, but it was just something to buff up Shalinka. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so like I mentioned before, went ahead and moved in, got my faction buff running. So once I saw this move, I was like, okay, you know, there's a good chance that Leon's going to move up and do act again. And I was like, alright, if I only have one turn, what should I do? And I was like, the first thing I did was I measured out my distance. Varna could go into melee with Ares, or just do 1,000 arrows, but neither of those would kill. Varna's attack power is not as high, and actually her attack power is not bad. With gargoyles, that's not too bad for Varna. But the main thing that I actually noticed was if I move 3 here, if you look at the danger zone here, this is the coverage. If Dealit ends her turn in the danger zone, she gets an extra action. So I can move here and then go 1, 2, 3 and be in range to do Elven Aura. Now I don't know if Dealit can one-shot an Ares, which is a stupid thought, I know, but I'm always super cautious about. I always think my characters don't do enough damage usually, so I was like, all right, well I'll do faction buff. I can move in with Deedlitz, and as long as I don't do an attack that does damage, I can act again. So I can move in here, put up Gossable on Shalinka, and then just go from there. So, as mentioned, act again just triggered. So I was like, all right, well it's all nothing. Gossable, just for backup, and then I moved right in. Elven Aura. Yeah, did plenty of damage. So, a few things to note as far as how much damage I was doing. So, for cavalry troops, there's actually a skill, a training you can build up where you do extra damage, or I think it's like either your stats increase or your damage increases. I don't remember which. It could be it could be increases damage and reduces damage taken, but essentially every step she takes before attacking increases that. So I moved 3, which is pretty much the max she can move. Also, when she moves a number of spaces, at the end of her turn, she also gets a buff. Yeah, she gets plus 8% int for every 1 block move. So essentially, she got plus 24% int in defense on that first move. And then she also got her fancy little passive from her helmet that increased her damage output even further. Or I think it's skill damage. So it just all added up, and I just threw it at Ares there. I think I did, what, around 24,000, I think it was. So if we take a look here, yeah, I had about 5,000 damage leeway there, so I think I was pretty much good to go there. But yeah, this was the key thing. Oh, 26,000. So yeah, I had about a 7,000 damage leeway. So yeah, Dealit could do some damage if you let her. And she gave up. At that point, she was pretty much shut down. Yeah, that was her high mobility unit. Elwyn was not going to be able to do anything. I literally could just pick my targets and just wipe her out at that point. So it was probably a good call to give up after that wombo combo failed. All right, so that was pretty much it. Like I said, short and sweet. I was actually pretty proud of myself that I was able to stop the Ares before it got started. So good stuff there. Not much to go over. I've been working on getting Awakenings done. The last one I did was Betty, which was rather difficult. I would say, as far as getting that first that 6th skill point is concerned, Betty, Anna, and Sumire were all the most difficult. Now, Sumire was so hard apparently that a patch made it actually made it easier, but I don't know how much it changed because I had already beaten it. The only person in my box, or the only female character that does not have any awakenings yet, is Gerald and Layla. Technically, Gerald and Layla are male, but obviously there's a female character in that group. So I'll be working on that next. I've been actually building up their bonds a little bit just to kind of give them extra damage, because that's usually what's going to kill me in these matches. Is you have to be able to do enough damage before they wreck you. I'm right now just short of a few Stardust right now, so once that's done, I'll be able to do it. So I'll either complete it this upcoming week or probably next week. The upcoming week does have the Betty banner, or not Betty, Brenda banner. I will be doing it. I do have over 100 summons, so I should be able to get her. I'm hoping I can get her without relying on pity for once, but we'll see. Everything else will be saved up for Arian Hod, or Arian Hold, however you should pronounce her name. She is a collab character. I'm not sure if I'll use her, though I really want to because I've been watching a bunch of matches, seeing what she does. That's also a lot of stuff I've been doing kind of for prep. I've been watching a lot of the Chinese matches and kind of seeing what some of the new characters can do. Probably the big thing is going to be the Sage of Yggdrasil, or otherwise known as Boomer Landius, where he has an ability where he can add terrain effects that essentially hinder movement for anything that is mounted, flying, or ignores terrain. And that's pretty much going to shut down a lot of the high mobility meta that's been kind of floating around, where people rely on Ares or use Claret and things like that. And I mean, for the most part, the upcoming meta would be AoE debuffs, and that's just something we're gonna have to get ready for. Besides that, as mentioned before, I am working on getting 6 stars on Shalinka and Illustrial. I'm also working on getting Lycoris's 5th star. I'll be trying to get her to 6 stars, but it's going to be a while. So yeah, that's going to be the plan there. Troop-wise, I believe I mentioned last time, I was kind of focusing on getting some of the more specialized troops fully upgraded. So I'm kind of working on Amazon Champions right now. I'm almost done with Aquatic Elves, or Tidal Elves, sorry. So once that's done, that'll clear up some things. I'm also going to work on Steel Warrior a little bit. I have mentioned in multiple videos where I really want to try to use Angelica. I think the biggest issue with Angelica right now is I don't actually have a good troop for her. But she does have access to Crystal Warlock, so I may try getting that up and running in the future, but that's going to be a long time coming. It's just going to take so many resources. But if I can get Crystal Warlock going, I may consider doing Angelica in the future. But the other thing I also need for Angelica to work is I need more Time Faction in my box right now, which right now I have only Estelle, and I have Estelle, Chloe, and D-Lit right now. I do have some options. I have characters built up like Sakura and stuff, but for right now I don't really have the room for them. There is a tank coming towards the end of the year that I may be interested in swapping in for Estelle, because I don't really use Estelle anymore. I used to use her for that buff she has, but since I use Freya so much, I don't exactly need it anymore. And that's the upcoming tank I may be interested in is Albedo, but that's going to be, like I said, end of the year type stuff. That's during the Overlord collaboration. I have seen Albedo in action. She seems to be pretty good, and probably will fit well with what I tend to do as far as the standard tank and spank box. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I've been kind of just doing a bunch of gambles, trying to get some more equipment and stuff like that. Oddly enough, some of the stuff I need is stuff I actually have been breaking lately. I actually need some carbon fiber armor for Arianhold in the future. So hopefully I can get some of those all set up and ready. Besides that, like I mentioned, like once I'm done with Gerald and Layla's Awakening stuff, I'll be essentially just pooling that resource until I get new characters. It's pretty much a similar situation that I have with these heart things. Where are they? Yeah, these heart cores of supremacy. I'm now just banking them because all my characters are maxed out on heart bonds now. So we kind of got that going. Besides that, I'm also obviously always working on enchants. My enchant luck has been abysmal. It went okay for a little bit, and then it just kind of fell off. I've been getting a lot of like 15%, but for the wrong stat type situations, which really sucks. But there's not much I can do about it, and I'm still winning matches, so that's good. Right now, as far as Apex is concerned, that is not the right button I clicked. Halfway to Gold 2. I don't expect to hit Gold 2. Yeah, there's only 11 days left on the point race, so it looks like we're only going to have one more weekend of this before it hits the finals again. I don't even, yeah, there's literally no way I want to get to to Langrisser, and I don't really want to be in Langrisser. Like I mentioned before, like how I was watching the Chinese matches, like I usually go in like burst. Like I'll watch a bunch of matches and then I'll be like, okay, all these boxes are the same. I'm just gonna stop watching them. I mean, they've been pretty good about making more and more characters that are good and interesting, to make it so most boxes have at least some variety, even amongst the different box types you can make. You know, like tank push versus a rush down and things like that. But I could safely say there's definitely a lot of situations where it's just like the same thing over and over again, where you see the same tanks, you see Landius and Juggler. You know, I don't think I very rarely saw a battle where it didn't involve Bozil in some case. I did see a lot of Gizarov, so there's at least some changes. But like I said, I'll probably be watching a few more matches if they come up, but eventually they'll probably taper off. That being said, they did recently have their, what's it called? I want to call it just the anniversary thing, where they kind of went over like the stuff they're planning for the future for the next year or something like that. And they mentioned something called like SP classes or something like that. And essentially the focus was to power up certain characters that are, you know, falling off or don't get much play. They even mentioned that R rank units or R rarity units would actually possibly get some love for once, which is kind of nice. I still use some of my R units, but it's usually for PvE at this point. I think I used Letitia in Season 1 of Apex, but then after that I only used her in World Arena, and at this point I don't use her at all, except for PvE if I ever need extra movement. So it'll be nice to kind of see them get some additional stuff. Like it supposedly introduces like a new class that gives a bunch of stats, and it may even increase the rarity of the character. The two characters they mentioned that they were going to do this to first was Elwyn and Freya. So I'm definitely kind of interested to see what sort of things they do with Freya. It's going to be a long time coming though. We're talking like over a year later probably. But it's kind of good that at least take into account that the power creep is very much real, and they need to actually address it. So I'm hoping that they keep doing it. I'm hoping it's similar to kind of like how the Awakenings are. I mean, they've been pretty good about making characters better, especially ones that are, you know, less used, like Gizarov or Aya. They'll do things like introduce either, you know, their Awakening stuff. They introduce a new skill, or they use they'll take advantage of like the shop here and introduce new unique equipment that can change things up. So this SP class thing is probably just another tool they can use to possibly upgrade certain characters. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to all that. I do enjoy this game despite some of the frustrations for some of the encounters and all that. I'm also been kind of working on Time Rift. I've done all the normals. I still need to do the elite modes. The rewards for this are actually pretty good. You can actually get a Yggdrasil branch from, I think, this level here if you get to the chest. And then, of course, the rewards here, you can get memory shards, eternity vouchers, and all sorts of good stuff. Anyway, I've been rambling on. Like I said, the match was just short and sweet, so I had a little bit extra time I wanted to fill. So, yeah, there'll probably be a summon video hopefully coming soon, because I'm pretty much going to guarantee get Brenda, because I need her for Sri Lanka one way or the other. Other than that, I won't really need anything new until Arian Hold. So I am the Depressed Dealer. This was Langrisser Mobile. See you guys later.